Right then, this is a walk around video, and this is for a very rare car indeed. Don't see many of these. This is a top of the range. It's a Civic Tourer 1.6 EX Plus. This is a 64 registered car. It's the facelift model. It's one of the first of this age, and it is in absolutely beautiful condition, this car. 67,000 miles, very low mileage, and wonderfully looked after. Front of the car, smart new front end, looks absolutely wonderful on the car. Lights and lenses, no cracks, no condensation. Looks really superb. It is a bit windy, so I hope you can hear me today, but I have to do the videos when I can. Bonnet, hardly a stone chip anywhere in there at all. Absolutely stunning. Near side of the car, absolutely mirror smooth. Near side front alloy, really good. Just a bit of light curbing right at the top, as you can see there. Full set of Bridgestone tyres on this car, which is a wonderful sign of ownership. Near side rear alloy, really good on that wheel. There was one minuscule little dent, which I'm just going to try and find for you, because it is absolutely so. Oh, there it is. Just make it out. I'm not sure whether you can see it. It is there. There is just like a little pinprick, but I want to try and pick up on anything I possibly can. Come around the back of the car, wonderfully clean again. No sort of bumper scuffs or anything like that. Offside of the vehicle, as with the near side, is just, let's just say, it's just like a mirror. It's amazingly clean. Offside rear alloy, absolutely beautiful. Just a couple of tiny little marks. And then the remaining panels, absolutely beautiful. And the final alloy on the front, that offside front, generally good again. There is some light curbing, as you can see, just on that side, just down there as well. But I mean, for a car that's now coming up to 7 years old, it is in absolutely stunning condition, this car. So coming into the boot area, absolutely enormous boots on the cars. Beautifully finished as well. All the fabrics, all the carpeted areas have been kept absolutely wonderfully. Coming to the back now, wide opening rear doors, and the back of the car again has been kept absolutely superbly. Leatherwork looks absolutely lovely with hardly any use at all. Coming on the passenger side at the front now, again, footwear is wonderfully clean. Front seat on the passenger side here simply looks as though it's hardly ever been sat on. So finally come to the driver's door card, which, as with all of the others, looks pristine. Footwell areas again lovely and clean, full set of tailored rubberized mats fitted to the car, and driver's seat again in fantastic condition. The only way you see generally is tiniest little bit we slide in and out on the bolsters, but they're adjustable on these. You've got the electric adjustment on the bolsters and the lumbar support. It's a lovely spec car, very rare indeed. Inside the car now, engine's running through this section, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated, which to all intents and purposes looks absolutely as new. If I just pan in up here, hopefully you can see 67,850 miles, and there are no warning lights on the dashboard. Sat nav working absolutely perfectly. This is the latest style sat nav, and then if you pop the car into reverse, you get that lovely clear gridded parking camera. It has been kept absolutely wonderfully. And then come back here and maintain. I know it's personal opinion and personal preference, but I think that is the best dash design anywhere, which I will bore you to death with, no doubt, on the following road test video. But it is in super condition in here. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key, both here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic. It's a 1.6 EX Plus Tourer. This particular car is registered OW64AHJ, and mileage currently showing is 67,851 miles. The reason we do these videos is very simple indeed. We want anyone that's looking at any of our cars online to actually see the car they're looking at advertised actually in operation. And the reason for that is very simple. We unfortunately know to our cost just how frustrating it can be to go and see a car which can look perfectly good in the adverts, only to get there and find out when you get there that there's a fundamental issue with the car which shows up whilst you drive the vehicle, or when you drive the car. So that's why we do it. It's also done on these quiet country roads very close to our premises. This actually forms part of the road test route we take customers on, and the reason we do it on this route is obvious, is so that hopefully what I'm feeling today will be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car itself, I mean, as I said in the walk around video, this is a very rare beast indeed. Really lucky to get this car. It's absolutely wonderful. Push button start on these top of the range one, starts absolutely instantly and settles to a completely smooth and even idle. Temperature gauge running at a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda car, and there are no warning lights on the car at all relating to the engine or any other part of the vehicle. The engines are absolutely brilliant. It's typical Honda in the sense that, you know, they are just, you know, by far and away the most reliable engine in its class. Very, very reliable, long-lasting engines. But it's also a lovely engine to use day in, day out, because apart from at, you know, very low speeds, it's hard to tell it is a diesel. It's very smooth and quiet, really punchy, pulls really, really well. And what's wonderful about it is the fact that the economy that you hope to get, you can get with these cars. It is a very, very, very fuel efficient engine. I've had numerous of these cars, and generally if I'm doing just short trips I'm still above 60 to the gallon, but if I'm doing longer trips 70 is relatively easy, driving quite normally. But it is down to driving style, of course, but you know, they are very achievable. Engine then feeds through into the clutch and gearbox. Clutch in the car, absolutely perfect. Bike point is exactly where it's meant to be, and it's lovely and smooth in operation. Gearbox on the vehicle, I always say it on these Civic videos, but it is a superb gearbox. Like most manufacturers which run in front wheel drive, the gear levers here are joined to the gearbox underneath by cables, so no mechanical linkage as such. It can mean that some gearboxes on cars can feel very light and lifeless and vague. Honda put a lot of effort into making these feel really mechanical and sort of solid feeling, and they've done a brilliant job with it. I mean, it's just such a lovely, lovely quality of gear change, and it feels exactly as it would have done when it's new. There's just no wear in it at all. Steering of the car, again, just superbly judged. It's quick, it's accurate, it's really precise, feels beautifully weighted on the road, its car feels really solid on the road, which I love. It's really confidence inspiring. Track's absolutely dead straight, there's no vibrations at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit. A wonderful power steering system, and it matches the chassis brilliantly, because the chassis is very athletic. The top of the range ones, and the one below it, I believe, you've got a little button down here, you can adjust the rear dampers on the car. Currently I'm in comfort mode. I press a button there, that puts me into dynamic, which makes it a lot firmer, and then you've got a kind of mid-range normal. I tend to drive in comfort. It's still very sporty, but it's just that much more comfortable. Dynamic, I suppose if you really are in the mood to hustle the car along, it might be worth doing, but I just find it a little bit too hard for me. But the chassis is just brilliant, because the car absolutely devours corners. It flows through them beautifully, but it also gives a really, really compliant and brilliantly damped ride. Honda have done just a wonderful job on this car. They really, really have. All I'm looking for in road tests, by the way, is when I'm going over bumps, I'm also just feeling out for any kind of sort of knocks or clonks coming from underneath the vehicle that shouldn't be there when it strikes a bump, and there's nothing at all. It's exactly as it should be. Brakes in the car, I'm not going to hammer them too hard, because we've just fitted rear brake pads on the vehicle, but basically they're very powerful indeed. Initial bite's really good, there's no pulsing or vibration at all coming back through the pedal of the vehicle. Inside the car, what videos can't really do sometimes is just do justice to how clean a car is inside, because whoever's had this car has kept it absolutely beautifully. You know, the leatherwork, the plastics, you can clean cars, of course you can, this one's been cleaned, but it's very hard to clean the car because quite often they'll have just light scratches which you'll see through the shine, but this is just in beautiful condition, and they are stunningly well made cars. There isn't a squeak or a rattle for the interior. It is brilliant build quality, and also, and I know it's personal opinions, I mentioned in the walk around video, but this dashboard, it's just stunning. It's a proper Marmite dashboard. You either like it or you don't, but I like the fact that it's different, it's stylish, it's good to look at, but not at the expense of practicality, because ultimately that's why they've done what they've done. The most conventional part of this centre stack, so you've got the sat nav all working perfectly, you've got dual zone climate control giving you different temperatures side to side. That pumps out lovely cold air, by the way. We checked it in a warm workshop earlier on. Switch gears, got a beautiful quality of actuation. It's got a sort of rubbery click action, something very high quality, as I said. Heated seats work again exactly as intended. And then this fantastic two-tier design directly in front. Because what it is very clever, it's got a high up display up there for, you know, secondary information, but if you change things like the fan speed or radio stations, you've got the display down there, but you've got a much bigger display high up, so you're not having to look down into the car. But the readout that most people look at is the speedo, and there it is. Big, simple, digital, easy to read speedo, high up in the dash. It basically means I can drive along, look at cars, cyclists, pedestrians, but at all times keep my eye on my speed without having to lower my head or eyes at all. It is genius. And as I mentioned in lots of videos, it is to Honda's shame, I think, that they've decided to keep the digital part but put it into a cluster down low on the later 10th generation Civics. I don't understand why they've done it. It seems a retrograde step to me, that one. Down below that, you've got these three dials, the rev counter, temperature gauge and fuel gauge, nicely presented, which sort of sits in the arc of the steering wheel there. Steering wheel is lovely, sort of fat rimmed, leather bound, just feels absolutely perfect to hold, and it looks and feels like new as well, by the way, but everything's working exactly as it should. As I said at the start of the video, the point of it, it's only brief, but is to show the car in operation, but to feedback on any issues there might be, of which there's nothing at all. It drives absolutely as new. It's just, it feels so tight on the move. Having said that, if you've got any questions about the car, don't hesitate, do give us a call.